so we're going to be making roux. We're going to be thickening our broccoli soup with roux. So we've talked about this in class many times. You've seen videos. I'm going to show you once more. Basically, this is just the butter. It's melted butter, right? So I got melted butter there, and I have flour. So what you're going to do is you put your flour inside, and you mix it, okay? We're going to mix it up. Just keep mixing it. Putting flour in there, mixing it up until it just makes a paste. It's really simple stuff. Flour, I'll get a little bit more. Now what I'm going to do is make sure I turn the flame on. So I turned off melted the butter, turned it off, and then I just put flour inside of it. I'm looking at it. It's a little loose. I'm going to put a little bit more. And you can do this. You can make roux without using a recipe, just going by consistency as well. Look at that. That's about the consistency you're looking for. It's kind of smooth. See how it's nice and smooth? And now I'm just going to cook this. Remember the 3 roux? We had white roux, blonde roux, and brown roux. So I'm just going to cook this on low, and I'm going to cook this for maybe a minute, and then we're going to use it. See how nice and smooth that is? That's what you're looking for, that nice smooth texture. That's how roux should be. I'm just going to let that cook. I'm going to let this cook for 2 minutes, and then we're going to use it in our soup. All right, broccoli soup. So we're going to be making broccoli soup. We're going to thicken this one with roux. You can use other things, but for our class today, we're going to be doing roux. This is the mise en place, the roux we've just made. We have broccoli, I have garlic, I have onions, and I have seasoning, and I have some butter. The method you start with here is called sweating, right? So we're going to sweat. We're going to put our onions in this pot, right? We're going to put some garlic in here. And we're going to put our broccoli, all right? You're going to put your broccoli in there. And then we're going to put butter inside. And we are going to sweat this. What does sweat mean? We're going to put it on low. I'm going to cover it, all right? And bring it over to the stove. And now I'm going to turn this on low. I'm going to use a spoon, get the butter down. I'm going to make sure the butter's on the bottom there. And what we're going to do is we're just going to slowly cook this, and we're going to sweat it. So that means we're just going to have this on low until it creates steam. So I put a lid on it. So we're going to let this go for a couple minutes, and we're going to check on it. It's been a couple minutes, and you can see it's starting to sweat. It takes a little bit of time. You start slow, and the butter's melting. It's on the bottom, and I'm mixing it. I'm going to go ahead and season it now. We're going to start seasoning. So now I'm just going to add a little bit of salt. See, add a little bit of salt in here, right? I'm going to take... I'm using your basic stuff. We have lemon pepper, I got a little garlic salt, right? And maybe a little seasoning salt. We're just gonna let this go and continue to cover it. I'm gonna check it back in about 5 minutes. So we're gonna check it. It's been a few minutes. I've been stirring it, but you see that steam, that's what you should be getting. See how it's just, basically, you're sweating it in that fat, in that butter. All right, once you get it to that, now this is how you make any cream soup. It could be potatoes, it could be cauliflower, it could be spinach, asparagus. You follow the same basic method. We're going to be thickening it with roux. I could add potatoes, and we could use potatoes as a thickener, but we're going to go ahead and use roux. Right now I'm adding chicken stock. You could add vegetable stock, but we're going to go ahead and add chicken stock. Remember what we said in class? This is the all-purpose stock. So I'm going to put in the chicken stock, right? We're going to let that go here. I'm going to bring it up, and now it's got to cook. So we're going to let this cook because we got to cook out the broccoli, and then we're going to add roux to it. So we'll check it in about 10 minutes. About 10 minutes now, and now we're going to look into the pot, and you can see, I just been going around with the wooden spoon. You can see it's all starting to fall apart. That's what you want because we're going to be blending this in a bit. So I've been just letting this go on medium for about 10 minutes, and all our broccoli is starting to fall apart, and that's what we need to have happen. So I'm going to go a couple more minutes here, and then I'm going to show you how we add the roux. We blend it and we add cream, and then at the very end we're going to add cheese. So let's go a couple more minutes and we'll check on it. All right, so you can see that we've been simmering for about, I don't know, 5 to 7 minutes or so. It started to get a little bit thick. This is that velouté base. Remember, this is just stock, you know, and it's got the broccoli in it, the onions, the garlic, and seasoning, but there's not a lot of cream in it. It's thickened stock, so it's a velouté base. So we're going to let that go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of cream to it. Just going to add a little bit in there. It'll change give it just, not a lot, just enough to give it that smooth look to it. See, it's starting to turn into soup. And you can add more or less depending on what you want to do. You don't even have to put cream in it. Cream just gives it that little smooth flavor to it. So I'm going to let this go here. I'm going to get the immersion blender. If you don't have an immersion blender, you'd put it in the blender and blend it in a blender. This is an immersion blender. At Deer Valley, this is what you guys will be using. If you do not have one, like I said, you just put it in a blender. Blender actually works faster. This is just easier because you can do it right in the pot. So it's cleaner, it's easy to work with. It's like I call it a stick blender. They're called immersion blenders. This is what we use in restaurants. So I have it on simmer, and I'm gonna slowly just blend this. You start on low, just like you would in a blender, and then I'm gonna raise it up. Smooth, and then I'm going to put, at the very end, I'm going to put cheddar cheese in it. Just a blend, there we go. Starting to come now, getting it all together. Just trying to get all the pieces. A blender will be much faster. You hit it, boom, 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 and it's done. This takes a little longer, but it's easier to clean. You're doing it right in the pot. All right, that looks pretty good. All right, we're going to let this go, and I'm going to add some cheddar cheese to it. We blended it up, and now you can see, if you look at it now it's nice and smooth, right? And now you got broccoli soup. And this is how you would make any style of soup. It could be spinach, broccoli, artichoke, you name it. You would follow this same method. It's a basic cream soup. We're gonna go ahead and add cheddar to it. So I'm gonna put the cheddar in, just kind of like how we did the mac and cheese. You can put more, as much cheddar as you like. And I'm gonna keep this on low, and I'm just gonna let that go until it gets thick, or until it melts. And that's it. All right, so we got our broccoli soup, our cheddar broccoli soup, and we did this with the velouté. We thickened it with the roux. I topped it with a little bit of cheddar cheese, and then we are serving it with our cheddar biscuits, similar to the Red Lobster style. They got the onions in there and the cheddar cheese. They're light, they're fluffy. They were brushed with garlic butter. So there you go.